basierend auf der erfolgreichen 900 Modellreihe
Carrera RS wird jedoch den Porsche-Liebhabern eine besondere Delikatesse geboten.
The Porsche 911 Carrera RS 2.7, a homologation special that started the RS lineage that was 50 years ago. Famous for its ducktail spoiler, it was made to be light and fast. The iconic 911 featured various technical innovations, including the front and rear spoilers, which was the first on a series production sports car at that time in 1972, and it was Germany's fastest sports car. A new breed of track-focused homologation model based off the 911 GT3 was introduced in 2003, the 911 GT3 RS as we know it today. It started with the 996 and subsequently the 997, 991 and now this, the 992 generation 911 GT3 RS, made from the essence extracted from the rich 50-year-old RS heritage.
It looks absolutely outrageous, borderline vulgar, and I love it. There's just so much to talk about.
This is the most advanced track-focused 911 money can buy today, the most aerodynamic one as well. Porsche spent more than 250 hours testing it in the wind tunnel with over 1,500 simulations testing all possible scenarios. I wish the same can be said for my hair.
Let's start off with the front. The usual 3 radiator layout for 911 at the GT3, it is now a single large radiator. The downside is you lose your frunk, but it gives way to new aero designs like never before. So for the first time ever, it gets active front wings. These flaps at the bottom can rotate up to 80 degrees, working hand in hand with the wing at the back to generate downforce depending on the driving situations. These nostrils on the hood is where the hot air from the radiator is ejected. These unique boomerang fins are there to make sure the hot air are dispersed to the sides and around the car. This is so that it doesn't flow over the roof and eventually end up in the engine intake. So it is pretty important.
The signature GT3 RS vents on the fender is now larger, but yet it is insufficient to release the pressure from the wheel arch quick enough. A new cutout behind the front wheel is created to efficiently relieve the turbulent air, a design taken from the GT1. It's 75% more efficient in wheel arch ventilation. The door had to be redesigned to accommodate that, which for the first time ever on a road-legal 911 are made of carbon fiber, and that shed 5 kilograms of weight. What else are made of carbon fiber? The hood, the front fender, the roof, the ducktail, and the rear wing. The rims are 20-inch aluminium with cutout for lightweight reasons, 1.5 kilograms lighter than stock rims. The tyres are Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2 with 275/35/20 for the front. A larger contact patch is needed for the rear for obvious reasons, so it is a 335/30 on a larger 21-inch rim. As for braking power, aluminium monoblock 6-pot caliper for the front, 4 for the rear. You can of course opt for the excellent carbon ceramic brakes.
Never mind the hair because it's really windy here. Now check out these little fins on the roof. Is it just for show? Well, it is little, but it has got a very huge and crucial role to play. Now, the hot air from the radiator that has been pushed out to around the side of the car, these things are there to prevent the air from coming in again, merging and going into the engine intake. So, it is pretty important. I know what you're thinking. Gimmicky? Well, according to Porsche, without the boomerang fins and these little things here, the engine makes 20 horsepower lesser. So yeah, it's because engine loves cold and clean air. The GT3 RS gets the wider turbo body unlike the 911 GT3. So it has got a wider hip with a wider track. It has got the side intake as well. This is only to cool the brakes and also aero purposes. It is not for engine intake. Why? Because remember the hot air that's coming from the sides and around the car? That's why. In case you missed it, this car actually comes with a rear wing. And it's massive, look at it! It sits higher than the roof, which is a first for a road-legal Porsche. The reason why it sits higher than the roof is so that it gets the clean air as opposed to turbulent air, and then it will work more efficiently. And it has got F1-style DRS!
For the first time in a production Porsche, this massive rear wing is fitted with F1-style drag reduction system. It does it by opening the wing, creating the lowest drag, cutting through the air more efficiently to achieve higher speed, which you can control from the steering wheel or automatically as and when the car feels that you need more speed. It also works as an air brake, as the active wing moves to the most upward position for maximum drag like a parachute. With it, the GT3 RS can achieve a shorter braking distance by 2.5 meters from 200 km per hour to complete standstill.
Not only it is to make the car go faster and stop quicker, the onboard computing is constantly calculating and adjusting the rear wing so that you get a 30 front, 70 rear downforce at all times.
And these are only things that you can see. Aeroworks are also done underneath the bodyworks. Like the front double wishbone has a teardrop shaped design like a wing. That design contributes a massive 40 kilograms of downforce at the front. This new 911 GT3 RS can produce up to 860 kilograms of downforce at 285 km per hour. That's twice as much as compared to the previous GT3 RS and triple what the 992 GT3 can produce.
Every single panel, wing, fin, vents and cutouts are there for a reason. Nothing is fake, according to Porsche. But I found a fake one down there. But at least it says no vent. So good for you, Porsche, for being honest. So there is no fakery whatsoever. The interior is pretty much a 911 GT3, but with magical touches of Ren Sport. For example, you get these additional dials on it where you can set it up like a race car. You can adjust the dampers, the differentials and levels of traction. And you can do all that while on the move. These are proper motorsport stuff. You don't need a team of pit crew to help you tweak all of those things.
The driving modes include normal, sport and track. When you are in track mode, you can adjust the compression and rebound rate for the dampers, front and rear. This is done on the PASM dial. The PTV Plus or Porsche Torque Vectoring Plus tweaks the E-diff, depending on how you want it to behave while entering and exiting corners. As for the traction control and ESC dial, there are 7 levels of tractions to choose from. This is also where you can turn everything off if you're feeling lucky on that day.
I like how they have the analog rev counter like a centerpiece in the cluster surrounded by digital screens. Now this, don't be fooled by it. It is not a manual shifter. In fact, you can't opt for a manual gearbox, only PDK. The full bucket seats are made out of carbon fiber and they look really fancy.
To further elevate the motorsport vibe, you can opt for the Club Sport package at no extra cost. You get a steel roll cage, a fire extinguisher, and a set of 6-point harness. You can also up the game with the optional WiSAC package that reduces the total weight by 19.4 kilograms. With that, you get exposed carbon fiber for the hood, side mirrors, roof, and rear wing. There is also a large Porsche decal across the rear wing. Some suspension parts are also made of carbon fiber, saving 5 kilograms. The anti-roll cage will also be made out of carbon fiber for the first time ever, and that saves 6 kilograms as compared to steel ones. You also get motorsport-derived magnetic pedal shifters for the precise shifting and feel. With the WiSAC package, you can go for the optional magnesium forged wheels, which are 8 kilograms lighter. Just like the Carrera RS 2.7, this car is made to be light and fast. It weighs less than 1.5 tons at 1,450 kilograms with fluids, even before the WiSAC weight loss program. And just how fast is it? Well, it looks like we have come to the right place to find out. This is Silverstone, home of British motor racing. A 5.9km circuit with plenty of high-speed corners. It is perfect to unleash this new track weapon.
Oh, listen to that! Naturally aspirated flat 6! It revs all the way to 9,000 RPM! It's glorious!
Hanging at the rear of this car is a 4-litre naturally aspirated 6-cylinder boxer engine with a super quick shifting 7-speed PDK dual-clutch gearbox. It makes 525 horsepower and 465 Nm of torque, all sent only to the rear wheels. That's 15 horsepower more than the 911 GT3 and 25 horsepower more than the outgoing model.
The 7-seat PDK has got a shorter ratio as compared to the GT3. So it accelerates a lot harder, more aggressive, it's louder, and it's just so rapid.
This new one gets you from 0 to 100 in just 3.2 seconds. It takes you all the way to 296 km per hour, slightly slower than the GT3, which is due to the shorter gear ratio.
These maggots and backets further up. Nothing beats an acceleration from a naturally aspirated high-revving engine. And that soundtrack is so intoxicating, it's addictive. Yes! And you get a DRS button as well, like an F1 car, but unlike an F1 car, you don't have to be within a second from the car in front of you. You can just turn it on as and when you need speed. Oh, there's a bit of oversteer there.
Well, not exactly. The DRS can only be deployed when a set of criteria is met. You must be going above 100 km per hour with 95% of throttle input, rev above 5,500 RPM, and lateral acceleration is less than 0.9 G. Or you could just leave it to do its job automatically.
Unlike all other supercars and sports cars that are going for the huge horsepower figures, but hey, 525 horsepower, it's all about whether you really dare to exploit it or not. There was never a moment where I thought, oh, I wish I would have more power, but it's more like, I wish I have more balls. This GT3 RS can eat anything that comes in its way on a racetrack. Anything for breakfast, lunch and dinner, easily.
The aerodynamics play a huge role here. The active front and rear wing make sure there's 70 rear and 30 front downforce distribution to give that same feeling throughout all situations.
The speed that you can carry through corners is unbelievable. And the brakes are amazing. The air brake works really well as well. You hardly feel the dive as you enter the corner, so that it doesn't upset the rear tires and make you lose grip. The rear doesn't twitch as you really brake hard. And then when the car settles, you just power on. You get a very confident exit. And just gun it, go, go, go!
Porsche applied this anti-dive feature to ensure downforce balance between both axles. This is by lowering the front ball joint of the lower trailing arm. The rear axle is also adjusted with modified spring rates.
As you go on to Hamilton Straight, revs up to 9,000 RPM, 200 kilometers per hour, brake into Abbey and turn in, right on the curb. Oh man. I've driven a lot of cars on the track, but this thing is just something else. It brings the whole new meaning to track weapon. Don't forget it's an RR, rear mounted engine, rear wheel drive, but yet you can go so aggressively into a corner but come out as a hero. Oh, what a day. Maximum attack around Silverstone in this precision track weapon. Now I need a beer. I need an ice cold pint to calm down my nerves.
Porsche has never failed to amaze us. Just when you thought to yourself, what more can they do to improve this? It's already so good. Well, they will just up their game and blow us away again with the next one. All I can say is, savor the moment, enjoy this naturally aspirated high-revving bundle of joy before electrification comes into play.